Taking a look today at a Sub-Zero refrigerator I recently found on Craigslist. Kind of got it outside as a test run before I consider moving it into the house. Removed temporarily is this grill which goes on the top, but I've learned a few things and found a few disappointments here. First of all, this is a 3211 RFD, which I understand now is very old. Also, while I'm standing here, notice it's got some icicle formation, probably the result of a clogged drain line. Probably should do something about that sometime. But it is creating cold on the freezer side, and similarly it's creating cold on the refrigerator side. Tried to keep some items inside. I figure it's easier for it to keep cold if it's full. So again, some aspects have been troublesome. I'm going to step up here. Had a bit of a heat wave, and I guess it's hotter outside than in, and the refrigerator side stopped working and continued to not work for a couple weeks. So I took that grill off the front, and there's actually a metal panel here that I also removed. This panel fits across here, and I'll speak more to that maybe towards the end. So, what I discovered, and this is all new to me, it's got a single evaporator, which is to say a single condenser with two fluid circuits here, and it's obviously drawing the outside air in here, pulling it through with a fan. And there's two compressors which don't look like the original to me. They're Embraco Raciona, it says on the label, and they look newer than the rest. Also, some signs of shoddy repair workmanship. This nut is loose. The nuts on the back are totally missing. There's that loose nut again. Nuts on the back totally missing, and the ground wires, presumably should be connected here, are one was snipped off, this one was completely snipped off here, and this wire still exists, but it's not connected to anything. I removed these covers to look inside, and frankly, after some amount of jiggling the wires, I heard this compressor come back on, and I could feel the line coming out of it getting hot, and lo and behold, the temperature came down inside the refrigerator. So what the result of my wire jiggling was exactly, I have no idea. I did look at some other YouTube videos. Apparently these whole things perhaps come off, and there's 3 pins behind, though I don't really see a means for these to come off. This one has a different wiring arrangement. It's got something going on here on the top. It's got this separate little box here that I don't know what that's about either. It looks like the power comes in, but one side goes through this little box. Also, when it wasn't working, I took this connector apart and measured just 44 volts across the pins. Now when it's running, it's got the 110. Another puzzlement, this blue cap, does that mean it's got modern refrigerant inside? And this cap is brass, Who knows what that might mean. Here we've got another removable cap. Here it looks like there used to be one and it was pinched off. I can't believe it, but I had to conclude that these are the lines, these tiny lines are running to the, I'll say it correctly this time, the evaporators inside the refrigerator. Another thing I don't understand is the hot refrigerant coming out of the freezer side makes this loop into the cabinet before it continues to the condenser. And it's almost pinched shut up here. I think that's another workmanship issue. Almost pinched shut there. But for a couple weeks now, since the failure, it continues to run. I've done some measurements of the power consumption. It's high, but not ridiculous. My conclusion at this time. This isn't a huge deal, but these double switches on each door, one seems to control the light and the other shuts off the fan inside, shuts off the evaporator fan, but it does not seem to affect the condensers or the condenser fan. The condenser fan seems to run all the time. I certainly could use a wiring diagram for this if anyone knows where to get one. Other concerns I have, it's not very well insulated. I mean, if I touch the sides of it, it's very chilly. And like this metal is very cold. And this surface is also cold. But curiously, on the freezer side, this metal is very hot. Very warm to the touch. I don't know where that heat's coming from. That is, again, a puzzlement. Looks like I'm getting some pattern of horizontal bars, likely due to my fluorescent lights here. But, and this might be my last question. Again, the air is coming in here and blowing out this side. I was very surprised to see there's a path here down the back of it. Now that might be to blow hot air across the condensate pan at the bottom. So some of the hot air is being forced underneath the unit. And when this metal panel is in place, it goes about here. It leaves a little gap on each side to blow air out this way through that grill. But I almost wonder, if I leave that panel out, will I see a gain in efficiency? It seems like the air will just be blowing out of here full speed, blowing out this way full speed. If that panel is left out, certainly it'll be noisier. Or will I screw something up by not forcing the air, the hot air, down the back and underneath of the unit? And again, I have no understanding of these relays, nor any idea why it quit and then started again. Really all I did was jiggle the connectors and pulled this connector apart 1 or 2 times. I assume this is a clock that turns on the defrost function. Have that feeling I'm leaving something out, but thanks, and be sure and watch my other videos.